Listen, not even technical difficulties can hold us down. Here we are, a little bit late, but better late is better than not being here at all. I messed that up real bad, but that's what you get when you're live and you can't go back and redo it. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna
All
do?
good. It's
Sue
all
me,
good. Yeah.
right? You're here now, and you can't escape. We've got the round table coming in here. Might have some other guests coming in as we continue, but going down in order, we have a mainstay of the channel, Jant716. Coach Jay, how you doing?
I'm feeling all right, man. Feeling all right, man. Had a great Father's Day weekend. Hopefully, a lot of you guys had a great Father's Day weekend as well, man. Finally, was able to give my fragrance gifts away, receive some fragrances as well. So I'm glad about that. But overall, wise, man, just ready to talk football.
I know your allergies are thanking you.
Oh no, it's still acting up. I'm still feeling the effects. It's been acting up. It's been acting up, man. Over. I already had allergies going into this thing, but no, I'm telling you, man, it was that Spice Bomb Extreme, man, tore me up to pieces. So, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Listen, gentlemen, if you want the ladies to never forgive you, get that, or forget you, or forgive you for that matter, get that Spice Bomb Supreme. They'll be sick for weeks. Weeks. You want to talk about an impression?
That's right,
Can't
dude.
do better than that.
Just a
Coach
couple of
Sean.
sprays, man. Just a couple of sprays right on your neck, or runs right behind the ear, so you can leave a scent trail.
You
Right?
know what I mean? And then you get
Impression.
some Dayquil and NyQuil, and you nurse the ladies back to health, right? That way you demonstrate your value. For all my people that have seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
I
we're
like it.
dentist systeming right now. You demonstrate your value. Coach Sean, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Can't complain. Happy to be here talking ball. Can't ask for much more, man. Can't ask for much more.
Glad you're here. Hope your Father's Day weekend was well.
Yeah.
Jake, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm bummed because, as you guys know, I was supposed to release that channel this weekend, but as I've said before, like my granddad passed away this last week, and I just decided to take the weekend and wait until this upcoming weekend to do it. So the channel will come out this upcoming weekend, but I took this weekend off and spent time with family, and I hope everyone also had a happy Father's Day. So, you know what I'm saying, like 100%. But man, other than that, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be in here chatting football. I always love getting in with you guys, man. Every single week, my favorite.
Absolutely, man. Been looking forward to this. And we have got a lot to talk about. You said Jake got you a tie for Father's Day. Well, that's very nice of him. Very nice of him indeed.
Boomer's already starting jokes. I see it, man.
Hey,
I see
he
it.
comes in here rearing and ready to go every single week, right? That's what makes Boomer Boomer. And listen, we're going to start off
That
on the
was good.
recruiting trail, guys, because, I mean, we are entering a hotbed of recruiting. USC just had a big-time decommitment, five-star edge out the state of Georgia. And back in the green room, Jay and I were talking about this, about how Georgia has a really interesting recruiting strategy. And Jake, you even were coming in here talking about it, and they might wait a while before they really ramp up on some of these prospects. But in fairness, they stay having top recruiting classes, right? So it's one of those things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, some people push super early, looking at you, Notre Dame. Notre Dame consistently jumps out ahead of everybody in recruiting. They did it this year. They did it last year, and then everybody kind of catches up. Georgia is very patient, and I think Kirby got that from Saban, right? Because Saban was very patient in his approach. Very patient, very reserved, and then you'd look at the end result, and boom, you're at the top of the recruiting boards. So Isaiah Gibson, guys, I think we'll start here and then talk about some Alabama and Oklahoma recruiting. Whenever we look at Isaiah Gibson, is it as simple as Georgia is the favorite here? I'll give y'all his rankings before I pass it around. He ranks per the 24/7 Sports Composite as the number 36 player in the nation, number 2 edge in the nation, and top 10 player in the state of Georgia. Jay, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it's definitely a big possibility. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, first of all, let me just mute this thing right here, man. Mute this right here. All right.
I know that Discord beep anywhere.
that the beep of hell, man. Just the absolute beep of hell. But no, I know it's definitely a big possibility that Georgia can definitely be in the factor. I mean, Kirby Smart, if there's one thing that he loves to do, man, he loves to recruit the trenches. I think that, the last couple of years, you can make an argument even for this year that they may be a little down, especially when it comes to the edge rushing position. So they're going to be in the picture. They're going to be in the mix. We talked about this backstage, how like even for like the some of those USC commitments, like some of these kids didn't really get. Some of these kids were like they were late to the party. Like Georgia didn't, they were very late to the party. They didn't offer any of these kids. They didn't offer them any, it was unofficial visits, but no official visits. It was nothing. They didn't really press through, they didn't really, it's like they didn't make a push. It's like they didn't want to make the push. It's Kirby Smart, man, and that staff has a really weird, recruiting tactic. Very, very, weird recruiting tactic. It's very similar to what a lot of people think that Saban did in terms of, the last 2 to 3 years. Saban's recruiting classes have been 54th, 60th. I think the worst case was 72nd. And then all of a sudden we get to July and boom, it's like all of a sudden Alabama just climbs the ranks in the top 5. And it's kind of like it was a patient game, right? Nick Saban was pressing, but you even had a lot of people kind of come up and say, well, Nick Saban lost his touch, and then boom, that crap happens. Kirby Smart's different though, because he doesn't. I mean, he'll offer them. He'll be like that staff will be in communication, but they don't go hard. They kind of wait their turn. They kind of, it's like they're anacondas, like boa constrictors, man. Like they suffocate their prey, man, but it's a slow death. It's like a slow, tiny death before they all of a sudden kind of devour their meal. That's Georgia.
That's a great analogy.
That's Georgia. That's Georgia, man. When it comes to recruiting, they are very, very patient. They know what they want. They know that entire staff is young. That entire staff is absolute monsters when it comes to just relationships with high school with 707 coaches, high school coaches, just getting familiar with the overall areas. They are absolute monsters in the recruiting trail. And it's just one of those situations where, yes, I mean, Georgia right now, they're still one of the best teams, one of the best schools in the nation in terms of recruiting, but they don't really explode until the fall time. That's when they really start to kind of explode. So this is a waiting game, more patient. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this kid gets really hot into the mix and Georgia starts to become really a hot, familiar name. But overall wise, Georgia, it wouldn't be a shocker at all if they're starting to get back in the mix.
Coach Sean, talk to me. Do you think that it's as simple as Gibson to Georgia is where we need to look now?
I do, man. For me, I think it's just the fact that Georgia has done a great job at not only putting kids in the league at that position, but I mean, Kirby's a relentless recruiter, man. I mean, he knows what type of kid he wants. He knows the body structure. He knows the film study. He goes after him 100%. He sends all his coaches. These guys really, really, really wine and dine these kids big time when they get on campus. I know some things personally that they do when they get these kids on campus that a lot of schools don't do. I mean, these guys are really, really, really good with the parents. The guy's just a good recruiter. I mean, I think it's more of Kirby and his staff are just great recruiters. I think that can't go unnoticed, man. These guys are relentless in what they do. They're relentless in their approach. They really, really, really attack the kids that they want, and they make no mistake about it. And they really, really chaperone these kids and winding down. I mean, having kids over Kirby's house, same way Nick used to, but the kids are all partying, dancing, the parents, really, really, really social, right? Really, really social and really, really personal. I just think these guys do a great job, man. It wouldn't shock me at all if they flip this man. Shout out to Jay Towns. What's up, Jay? Wouldn't shock me at all. What's up, LaQuasia? How you guys doing, man? Right? Wouldn't shock me at all if they get this kid. But I'm gonna tell you something else, man. When I watch his film, it's not much difference in him and the young kid that we talked about the other night. I forget the kid's name. We talked about those kids, and I actually had those kids' highlight tape pulled up next to each other. The kid that just visited Alabama this past weekend. Justin Hill. It's
a monster.
Not a lot of difference in these kids, man. And it wouldn't shock me to answer your question at all. You got to give credit where credit is due. Georgia does an outstanding job at getting the kids that they want and really going after them. And here's the thing about Georgia. They don't waste a lot of time on kids that they don't want. They don't waste a lot of time going after kids and just offering scholarships to offer them. Kirby knows exactly the type of kid he wants, and he puts all his eggs in those baskets. He doesn't just offer scholarships to get kids on campus that he don't plan on taking. I give him credit for that, man. They just relentless in their approach, man. You got to give credit where credit's due. Georgia does a great job at recruiting these kids, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they get him.
Jake, talk to me. And I did want to highlight one comment real fast. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Jay, LaQuacia, Sooner Cowboy, Shelton, G-Man Cool. G-Man Cool, the guy right here, Jance. His YouTube channel is Jance716. We have Coach SPH down below. Fantastic content creator. And Jake is starting his channel up here very soon. And as soon as we get all that information, we will push it out to you. And of course, you know me at Around the Table Sports. Shout out to everybody in the chat, but I did want to put up this one right here. This kid is from Georgia. Not hard to land a kid from your state when you are viewed as a top program. Kirby really doesn't have to go anywhere. Kids coming to him. I agree, but here's what I will say, Sooner Cowboys. We were talking about this before. Last year, Georgia only landed 3 of the top 15 players in their state. Georgia is a state, and Georgia recruits well, but Georgia is a state. They have so many different teams camped out in that state. Now, one thing I can give credit where, and I'm always going to give credit where it's due. Even though Kirby only landed 3 of the top 15 players from his state, it's not diminishing his recruiting in the least. I mean, he's still pulling in top 5 class after top 5 class after top 5 class. And then he gets his pickings in the transfer portal, right? Like, I think Georgia utilizes the transfer portal very well as a Band-Aid as opposed to foundational recruiting. I think that is the way to use the transfer portal. It's part of the reasons why I'm fascinated with what Coach Prime and Colorado are doing right now, because I think this is a case study that we will look back on over the next 10 years and really talk about the viability of the transfer portal. At what point is it not good to utilize the transfer portal anymore? So that's going to be something we need to look at. Jake, talk to me about Gibson.
You know, it's interesting, right? Like, I kind of felt like you're going to see, I think you'll probably see even another one bounce from USC. I mean, he's from Georgia. You're going all the way to the West Coast. California is way different. We've actually discussed, and I'm trying to remember who brought this up, but I think, I know who brought it up. It was Shoddy, right? From Just My Damn Opinion, right? And he had brought up the fact that, like, money, right? Like, there's an interesting factor. Your dollar goes a lot further in the South than it goes in California.
True.
Or in Washington State. Very interesting thing to think about. Now, that's one angle, right? And that's a fair angle to think about 100%. But obviously, that's not all of it, because in the end of the day, like, you know, money is not a rule all. Maybe for a percentage of kids it is, but for the most part, we're definitely seeing, you know, Alabama is a good example of this. We're definitely seeing how relationships are very, very important. I think it's interesting. You from Georgia, you're a stud player. I think, you know, for Gibson, I think he sees like, hey, they're loading up from a defensive standpoint over here at USC because of who they get brought in from a defensive coach standpoint. And he's saying, all right, where do I fit in on this necessarily for my future? There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I got to take a step maybe and look somewhere else where I can get development. And we know for certain guys are being pushed out to the NFL left and right, especially on D line. Like, if you're, you know, that's one of the things to say. If you're a D lineman, that scheme at Georgia is made for you. They go after the trenches first. That is their biggest priority. And Coach Jay, you said it, but you know, I'm telling you right now, is Georgia's interesting. You're right. It's very much a Nick Saban approach, right? Like, I think Kirby saw how that worked. He established himself and he brought Georgia up a tier, right? They were already good before, but Kirby going in there has definitely stepped up the game for Georgia. And now we see them maybe taking a slower approach due to the fact that they can do that to an extent, right? But I do think that this day and age has changed with that recruiting style. It's not, you know, there's one thing to say Nick Saban, you know, Kirby Smart, are they on equal levels? No, essentially they're not, right? Nick Saban is the greatest of all time, right? So for him to do it that way, it worked for him. And he's a phenomenal closer. Everyone has said it. Nick Saban could recruit by himself. But I think, Kirby's style of doing it, I wonder, it'll be interesting to see how if it catches up with them this year. If they don't, they'll still land a great class, but what if they don't land 1, 2, or 3? What if they land outside the top 5? It's something.
Have they landed outside the top 5 here recently?
Gosh, I would have to go back and look. Well, last year, because last year they were number 1.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so
they were 1-24, 2-23, 3-22.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
4-20. I mean, yeah, they've stacked them
100%. But those are all during periods that are very different than now. NIL has changed the recruiting landscape, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays, right? Like, not saying Georgia won't do it, like, not at all. I have the utmost respect for Georgia, but it will be interesting to see how that tactic plays towards as we get closer to December, right? For those who sign in that early period. So,
yeah, I want to hit this comment right here. Talking about Brian Thomas. Thank you for the comment. He says, Ty, was Gibson a first choice at UGA? I can't say for certain. Okay. I can't say for certain, but I know whenever he had committed to USC, Georgia was very much still pushing. If I'm not mistaken, Georgia's been in on Gibson for a minute. They've wanted him, but apparently Stephen Sooner Cowboy saying Gibson is visiting Oklahoma, and Georgia already has some really talented edge players, not only on roster, but in this class, right? They get a kid from New Jersey who's really, really good, number 51 in the nation, number 7 at his respective position, number 1 in his state. And then they have some linebackers like Jaden, and I'm going to butcher the last name, Perlot, who's from Buford, who's a super flexible player in terms of his versatility, 6'3", 210 pounds. I mean, he's kind of a tweener, right? Like, what do you want him to do? If he grows any more, you could genuinely have him rush the edge. If he stays around this size, you could have him as an interior guy. He has that athleticism, really talented guy. So don't get me wrong, Oklahoma, we know Chavez does a great job there. Miguel Chavez, Todd Bates, they do a fantastic job. But this is one where it's just, man, it's going to be so interesting to see, because I don't think Georgia's done, gentlemen. Justice Terry is still in that USC class. I don't think Georgia's going to stop until they get him. I just said that they had 3 of the top 15 in last year's class for the state of Georgia. They're recruiting the state of Georgia much more aggressively this year, right? Like, they want Elijah Griffin. They want him bad. They want Justice Terry. And if they pull Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry, watch out. That's going to be a nasty duo, 2 5-star defensive linemen. And this isn't exactly a stacked class for defensive linemen. Guys, talk to me. Let's talk about the defensive line position for a little bit before we transition over to the offensive line, because Alabama got a defensive line win this weekend. This year, you got to kind of do your homework for the defensive linemen. There's a few guys, don't get me wrong, there's a few guys that you look at and you're like, okay, that's a dude. But this isn't like last year's class, where it was just like you throw a rock and you're going to hit a blue chip defensive lineman that you look at and you're like, that kid's going to translate. This year's is a little bit more few and far between. This year, the offensive line is really good. Talk to me about the defensive line in this class. Talk to me about London Simmons. Jay, I'll start with you.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, Alabama got some really good commitments over the week, man. But like London Simmons, man, for the most part, 6'3", 295 defensive lineman coming out of Flowood, Mississippi. I think he's a raw prospect. I think he's a raw prospect with some athletic upside. Matter of fact, hold on, I just got to go on a quick little rant, because we did talk about the Georgia Bulldogs a little bit, and we did talk about, DJ, some of these guys that could be coming over here. Let me tell you about some of these weirdos, man, for these Georgia Bulldogs. The fact that some of these idiots are going to criticize Alabama for picking up a 3-star defensive lineman, and all of a sudden now we're known as 3-star U, is one of the dumbest things. I mean, first we got these LSU announcers or these LSU ESPN people coming over here and saying that Russell and now all of a sudden our transfer portal ranking is below Vanderbilt, and now all of a sudden we're getting criticized by these Georgia fans. I mean, it's absolutely just utter ridiculous, and it's just pure hatred. It's just evidence that people want Alabama to be down. And it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, and I understand training camp is about a month away. SC Media Days is about a month away, right? There's not that much to do right now. We're talking recruiting. I get it for a lot of these fans, but if we're gonna sit up here and criticize this Alabama football team, who's right now 3rd in recruiting, in some websites they're at least top 5 for picking up 3-star defensive linemen, who, by the way, could definitely translate and move up the boards to being a 4-star kid, because there's been a lot of scouts that's been covering this kid and saying that this kid is extremely talented, got a lot of upside, and has been doing well in the camp circuit. If we're going to start criticizing these players for being 3-stars and for Alabama to take them, it's annoying. It's actually starting to become a little annoying at this point. But again, I'm not surprised, man. Pretty much the only schools that are complaining about Alabama are people that simply just can't beat Bama. But now talking about the Simmons, like I said before, man, tons of upside. For the most part, long rangey kid, but still is raw. I checked out a little bit of his tape. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful, especially coming on the from that lower body standpoint. Again, he's doing well in the camp circuits. That's what a lot of scouts are kind of saying. I think I need to watch a little more film from his camp circuits. But overall wise, I'm happy about this move. I mean, for the most part, I mean, like I said, Kalen DeBoer and the rest of this coaching staff, Courtney Morgan, they've been on the trail for this kid for a while. From what we've been told, this was a target. This was a kid that they've been planning to try to get, and they were able to kind of land him. They formed a great relationship with him and his parents, formed a great relationship with him and his family, and it was great overall to see this kid. It was pretty much him and the tackle from California make their commitment. Matter of fact, I'm actually a little more excited about the kid from Cali, just because, again, he's a Kalen DeBoer offensive lineman, right? He is a 6'7", 6'8", 290 pound, athletic, fat, extremely quick. Like, he fits what Kalen DeBoer in this offensive line system wants to do. So that's why I'm a little bit more excited about that compared to this. But overall wise, this was a target that they wanted for a while, and they were able to kind of grab both, not one, but 2 guys over the last week. So I'm happy.
Before I pass it to you, Jake, I did want to, you guys know me. I'm interested in one thing and moved by one thing and one thing only, and that's facts. And we've got our resident Auburn fan. Chris, love you. Thank you for being here as always, man. I know it's hard out there for that Auburn content, but we got you taken care of right here. Chris says that's all Bama recruits is 3-stars. Well, what's interesting is if we go over to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings right now, Bama has 17 commits, 1 5-star, 12 4-stars, 3 3-stars. So they do have some 3-stars. Auburn right there at number 6 in the nation. By the way, Bama number 3 in the nation. Auburn right there at number 6 in the nation. 15 commits, 10 4-stars, 0 5-stars, and 5 3-stars. There's nothing wrong. And I'm not giving you that, Chris, as a manner of being like, oh, no, y'all are... No. Let me be very fair here. If your coaching staff evaluated those 3-stars, watched them camp and said, this is a guy. The recruiting services, they get it right some, but I think they got this one wrong. I think this kid he's every bit of a 4-star. He's going to do really well in our system. I will take that evaluation over a ranking any day. But let's not then throw stones in glass houses whenever a third of your class is 3-stars and you're saying that you don't recruit 3-stars. There's nothing wrong with recruiting a 3-star.
Again, Ty, I mean, these are the same people talking crap. Chris Williams these are the teams that can't beat Bama. These are the same teams that simply just can't beat Alabama, right? Georgia fans, Auburn fans, LSU fans with ESPN 104.5 radio getting their information wrong about Russell and talking about how we're below We're below Vanderbilt in the transfer portal rankings. That was news to me because if you actually take a look at the transfer portal rankings, we're actually top 3 in the country that year. But for some reason, we're below Vanderbilt. It's just a bunch of fans and a bunch of schools that have nothing to talk about because there's nothing interesting going on with their programs. And of course, we always have to be the center of attention for some weird reason. I mean, again, like I said, everyone knows I'm a huge Bills fan. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs with a passion. You will never ever see me talk crap about the Kansas City Chiefs because they beat our ass in the postseason. These schools can't beat Alabama if you give them any sort of advantage possible, and yet somehow, some way, they feel like they have the right to talk as much trash as possible about our program. I just don't understand it. I never understood that. Even if that was my biggest rival, I'm not going to talk crap about you if you kick my ass. What am I going to say? But somehow, some way, man, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, they always have something to say every single year. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Like I said, I hate this notion of, oh, he's a 3-star. Boo. The coaching staff knows far more than you, right? Like it's all good. It's all well. The coaching staff knows what they're doing. Jake, talk to him.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a great point. Like in the end of the day, they are recruiting to their needs and they have certain types they're looking for, right? They do, one thing I will say about Courtney Morgan and this entire coaching staff is they do a phenomenal job, right? Phenomenal job of finding and identifying talent, not necessarily like a star base, right? Like, yeah, of course, there's the numbers are out there regarding how many stars in your roster. You do this, you make it to championship, you win this many games. But I mean, Kalen DeBoer just took that theory and threw it out the window last year, right? Going to a national championship, and you can go back and look at the star rankings on there.
What was the record of the team he inherited, Jake? Real quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were like 4-8.
4-8, yeah.
So pretty brutal from that standpoint. So I'll tell you though, you look at what they're doing, even with the guys who are looked at 3 stars, right? I'm pretty sure with Mal Waldrip considered a 3-star, right? Like that he probably won't be sitting as a 3-star very long. Okay, that a lot of these guys are going to progress. You'll probably see the same thing from a standpoint with Carroll probably bumping up to potential 5-star because of what he can do, and Jackson Lloyd's a whole nother story just because of his athleticism.
They were talking about Russell jumping up the 24/7 Sports guys, where they said they think he's going to jump up to a 5-star, maybe even in the next week, depending on how he does at Elite 11.
100. That was the next one I was just going to bring up. Like with him, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's going to perform really, really well. It's going to be fun to watch his overall performance at Elite 11, because there you get to really test yourself against the best of the best, right? But jump into London Simmons. It's an interesting one because he's identified early on as a guy to pay attention to. He gets to camp at Bama. Can't stress enough how important camping is, right? Especially today. You have the kids who get out there who are going to all these specialty camps, but if there's certain schools who are saying, hey, we've identified you as someone we're interested in, and you go and you have the mindset and the ability to go and show up at camp, you can go and earn that offer. And that's exactly what he did, right? The one thing that's probably impressive, or multiple things I should say, with Simmons, he will definitely not be a 3-star very long. I won't be surprised if he jumps pretty quickly to a 4-star unless they wait until the season to see more of his play his senior year. But with him, he has fast and really violent hands. With his hand combat skill is really, really good. That's one thing they identify with him. Obviously his ability to turn and run, so his hip flexibility is awesome. But he is one of those guys who is very unique in the sense of this dude is super, super smart. That is the one part about him that people don't realize. I think he got 2nd place in a state competition for chess. Okay. Like he has a super high GPA. He studies film relentlessly. He's like a film junkie. So you can see right away that this kid has talents that they identify from a standpoint saying, hey, this guy has this ceiling that is super, super high. If we bring him in and we work with him, not to mention his head coach brought up like his humility and how he's just a team guy. Those are the guys they want. Those are the guys who they come in, they develop, and really end up making huge impacts later on down the road, right? You can see the potential already with what he's done. I mean, he played his junior year, right? I think they made it to 6A state championship. So it's not like he's playing against a bunch of like nobodies, right? I mean, he's playing against pretty decent talent. So, but he's a wrecker. He's exactly what you want on that D line for this scheme of defense because of what he brings to the table from a standpoint of his ability to blow up a play before it gets in motion, right? Like Georgia is really big on this. That's why they recruit the D line as heavy as they do, because it's the anchor to their defense, right? But that's the same thing that you'll start to see Bama do as far as the type that they go after. So definitely going to be a pick where you watch and sit there and say, hey man, like this guy, just be prepared, because it's so hard today. There's so many kids you're trying to evaluate, right? And if they don't camp, they're not going to get this boost in star ratings, even though they are special. London Simmons is special. He's a guy every team would want. I'll tell you that right now. He might not be a 5-star, but in the books, guess what? When they're going through recruiting meetings and they're looking at their big board, he is right on top of everybody's big board for a reason. Like the dude has special abilities, and we're going to see that with the type of guys they bring in. I mean, look at Noah Carter. Great example. Noah Carter is an amazing athlete. He's originally ranked a 3-star. They originally had him as a 3-star. Could you guys agree that Noah's a 3-star? No way. He's not even close. Look what the dude does. I mean, just alone, the guy, talent alone, but his ability to play the game is super impressive. So, and then it was identified later on, right? Like he was a diamond in the rough that wasn't realized by other teams till later. DeBoer and them found him. London Simmons is the exact same way. So
100%. David says, of course, y'all gonna hype him up. I mean, you hype up every recruit when you get, but we also have a college football player that knows. We have multiple college football players on the panel that, no offense, David, but unless you played the game, I'm going to take their evaluation and the coach's evaluations over anybody else's, right? Like that's, all due respect, but unless you played, I'm going to take the guys who did play and the coach's evaluations over anybody else's. And Chris, we get it, man. You got it with you got OVO Hugh, right? You got OVO Hugh Freeze. So good luck with that. Brinsky, talk to me about
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be more impressed, and I'll be more impressed if Peyton Thorne was my quarterback.
Yeah. For one thing, can I just name all the players that Nick Saban had as 3-stars?
Go for it.
Yeah. Christian Jones, y'all remember him? Oh, not a bad 3-star.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Marcel Darius.
Chase Warmack. Oh, that's not a bad guy. Irv Smith. Oh, wow. Brad
Jackson.
Oh, Marquise Mays. Well, who is Marquise Mays? Oh, wow. Oh, Mac Jones. Oh, that Darius Hanks. Oh, okay. Bradley Bozeman. Oh, Vinny Sinceri. Robert Lester. Kareem Jackson, that's still playing in the NFL right now. Oh, Eddie Jackson. Who is Eddie Jackson? No, just want to throw that out there. Those are 3-stars. Tell me your 3-stars that played at Auburn in the last decade. Bums.
Well, like I said, there's absolutely nothing. Like I see this all the time. And Coach, before I pass it to you, I want to say this one more time. I see this all the time, right? Like people are like, oh well, and not even to Alabama, but to other coaching staffs. They're like, oh well, this kid's only a 3-star. David, I want you to name a time we've talked about someone's 3 stars like they're not good. Now you're just yapping to hear your own voice. What I'm about to say is directly in contradiction to what David just said and what I just said not a few minutes ago, right? People, can't paddle through what we're speaking through. But 3 stars are perfectly fine. If your coaching staff watches that kid, evaluates that kid, and says, yeah, I think this kid is going to contribute and be able to do something on this roster, then that's an absolute win. I have said this on Twitter, right? I said this on Twitter before. I don't care if you get a win for a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. If your coaching staff evaluates them and says, I would like this kid a part of my roster, then yeah, you should be excited about that win. This is not a new position, right? This is not a new position that I have had. David's now changing the subject. But oh well. Coach Sean, talk to me.
Bro, listen, man. Let me say this real quick because I built the ass. I really built the ass, and I'm gonna be nice because this is not my channel, so I'm gonna keep it professional. These fans from these other fan bases that show up in Bama chats every day, I personally love you. Like, I don't even hate you. I don't even dislike you. I appreciate you. Hell, just tap in, hit the like button. Because the more you chime in, the more I know you don't know a damn thing about football. You don't. You don't know nothing about no football. You can't tell me the difference in pattern match defense and regular man. You can't tell me the difference in backpedaling and scooching. You know what I mean? You can't tell me the difference in a swim move and a damn twist move. You don't even know the difference in a blitz and a stunt. You think they're the same thing, right? You don't know nothing, bro, because if you did, you would clearly know 3-star, 4-star. It's the film study. For the Ohio State fan, David, my boy, I love him to death. You talk about 3-star. Tommy Togiai was a 3-star. He was the best defensive lineman y'all had. Bruh, stop it. I can go on, but I'm going to stay with that one just to show you I really built the ass. As far as the Auburn fan, Carlton Davis was a 3-star. He was y'all best corner and still playing in the league over all your 5-stars that you had, right? You know nothing. Here's the thing.
Olave was a 3-star.
Thank you, Christian Olave. Let me check this out though. You got a defensive lineman named Christian Garrett that's committed to Auburn. It's another he's committed to Georgia. Excuse me. Jordan Crawford is committed to Auburn. They're both 4-star kids, right? Well, guess what defensive tackle dominated them both at the V3 camp? Guess what tackle? The tackle we talking about named London Simmons. He was better than both of them. He earned a Florida State, LSU, NC State, and Oklahoma offer the same damn day. You know nothing.
Just the first ones to offer him. We were the first big program to offer him before he went to those camps and dominated.
See, you just talk to hear yourself talk. You like hearing the sounds, your little fingers touching the little keys, right? But see, I coached this game, homie. 707, the high school, played the game in college. You can't tell me nothing. Not even a damn crumb. You can tell me nothing. You're right. Not even on my bad day. You could never sit next to me and talk football. You're a chat troll. Right? Play your role. It's okay. I need you. Right? But when it comes to football, you don't know a damn thing. Tommy Togiai was the best defensive tackles played at Ohio State in the last 3 or 4 years. Right? He was a 3-star, bro. Carlton Davis was a dog at corner. He was a 3-star, bro. Your 2 tackles, one from Georgia, Christian Garrett, one from Auburn. He's going to Auburn, Jordan Crawford. Both were beneath Landon Simmons. Both did worse than him. He was the best defensive lineman at that first camp that he went to, the V3 camp. Look it up. You can't tell me nothing. You just talking. Play your role, troll. Play your role.
Oh, dude, that was good. Dang, Coach Sean, that was phenomenal. I want to add one thing. Nobody's talking down 3 stars. Let me tell you guys something. Out of all the high school players in the nation, 1% plays Division I football. You guys think about that for 1 second. 1% plays Division I football. So if you're a 3-star, you're a 2-star, and you're a no star, you're a 5-star, you're a 4-star. Doesn't matter. If you're playing Division I football, there's a reason. Put it that way. Like,
let me say this:
step on the field, stars don't matter.
Let me say this before you chime in. ask the trolls or anybody else who knows anything about football. How does a kid become a 3-star? How does a kid become a 5-star? How is running backs in the same class as Josh Jacobs better than him at 5-star? I can name some of them. How did Josh Jacobs become a 3-star? You know how? Josh family at that time didn't have the money to pay for these camps, because then you had to pay for them, right? They didn't have the money to be going to these VTO camps, Nike camps, Miami, whatever they named it this week camps, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to go off your huddle film. And sometimes off huddle film alone, you don't get seen that much, bro. It's not fun covering the kids you don't know nothing about unless you're a great developer, right? Unless you're a great developer, right? Go ask Christian Olave. Go ask Ardarius Stewart. Go ask Tommy Togiao. Go ask Marcel Darius. Unless you can see these kids on film and be like, you know what? This kid is better than some of these kids who have 5 stars. You know nothing. The truth will always be in the details, man.
Coach Sean just had the mic drop on that. I got nothing to add to that. And like I said, Steven, Coach isn't saying that unless you're a Bama fan, not to contribute. No. He's talking about the people stirring. Listen, this is a channel where we try to have principled conversations about football. And whenever, we will address some trolls because, one, it's fun. But whenever people say asinine or facetious statements like, oh, well, y'all are just propping up a 3-star, when all Jake did was give an evaluation. And then after we say, like, oh, people should be happy, they retort with, oh, but y'all are putting down other 3 stars. When nobody on this panel has done such, those people are just yapping. And that's all well and good. But he's not talking about anybody else. He's talking about the people just yapping. Yes. Right? And we appreciate the yappers because it is fun.
Of course.
But nobody here, and I don't know where David got that from, nobody here puts down a 3-star. In fact, not only 5 seconds before he typed that, I was just talking about how, and even Chris, who's an Auburn fan, I told him, hey, y'all have 5 3-stars in your class. And if Hugh Freeze looked at every single one of them and said, I think you can contribute, you need to be excited about every single one of those 3-stars. Because they're going to pursue their dreams. That's why I do this. Because it's kids going to pursue their dreams, which then gives hope to kids in the town. So to come up here and say like, oh, y'all put down, no, we don't. You're just talking. And, that's all well and good. But I do debate at a national stage. Come correct. Because Coach Sean, he's going to get at you. Now, we are going to talk about Jackson Lloyd before we talk about Oklahoma getting a shocking win. Whoa. Truly a shocking win. I will say this before we go into Jackson Lloyd. Emmett Jones, I don't know how much he's making now. Yeah. Double it. Triple it.
You don't want to lose him.
I don't care. Give him a key to a city. I don't care. That guy is unbelievable. But Jackson Lloyd commits today. Jay, we'll start with you. Big win for Alabama, a guy that Kalen DeBoer had pre-existing relationships with. Talk to me about Jackson Lloyd.
Well, first of all, this is a 4-star. So for all the people that's going to hate on the 3-star kid, this is a 4-star kid right here. So we don't have to talk that much about it. But no, I mean, like I said a little bit earlier, this is a Kalen DeBoer tackle. This is exactly what they want. This is a Rosengarten. This is a Fautano. I'm trying to pronounce the name right. A Fautano sort of tackle. That's big, slim, very, very athletic. Has powerful hands, but for the most part, but I think the most important part, versatile, right? You look at some of his film, he's literally played all over the place. I was actually kind of shocked to see that he played a little bit of center, played at guard, primarily he played at tackle. They actually had him out as a tight end in some 2 tight end sets that I was able to kind of see and notice. I love his versatility. I love his versatility, and I like his I like his athleticism. And again, depending on the recruiting website you have. I mean, there are some people that are saying that he's a top 5 player in the state of California. There's some people who are saying that he's a top 10 player in the state of California. I think the composite ranking has him 16th in Cali. I believe so. I'm gonna have to get fact checked on that one. But no, I mean, this is a Washington sort of tackle. This is a Kalen DeBoer sort of tackle that Obviously, if you look at our recruiting class, you look at the amount of guys that we get. I don't think we've picked up a tackle that's over 320 pounds. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I don't think there's one tackle on here that was at least 320. I mean, everyone's below that. Everyone's at least they're 300 or below. I mean, they're light, they're extremely athletic, but you got to move. You got to move with this blocking scheme, and so. He's getting these sort of guys. And matter of fact, some of these players kind of reminds me of Big Ten tackles, right? Wisconsin. These were the type of tackles that Wisconsin recruited with Brent Bielema. These are the sort of tackles that Kirk France recruits now, still to this day. You look at some of, just who else? Notre Dame. Notre Dame's another great example of a program that turns out great offensive tackles. Matter of fact, Joe Alt was literally the exact. I mean, Joe Alt 6'8", 305 pounds. When he was in high school, he was 6'7", 275 pounds coming out of high school. They developed him and they got his weight up all the way to 300. But these are the sort of tackles. These are the modern day NFL tackles that are right now playing in the league. If you could develop them to their full potential, I mean, like I say, Caden Proctor, he may be the last. Well, I'm not going to say he's the last, but I'm talking about just from his prototype, right? Caden Proctor is 6'7", 350 pounds. I think when it comes to high school recruiting, and I'm just going to make a projection here, I think in about 10 years, I don't think a lot of people are going to go for the 350 tackle. I think just the way how complex some of these blocking schemes is and just how versatile it is, I think that these coaching staff, very similar to how running back position has changed. Now you got to learn how to run routes, right? You got to be a lot versatile. You got to learn how to play in the slot. Receivers wise, you can't just be 6'4", 6'5". That's no longer going to earn you your 5-star. There's got to be some sort of diversity and versatility in your game. Quarterbacks, it was strictly pocket passing, 6'5", 230 at least. Nowadays, you can be 5'9", and as long as you're a dual threat quarterback, you have elite mobility, you can still end up being a first round, projected as a 5-star and a first round pick, right? I think for tackles wise, it's going to change the game a little bit different. But no, I like Jackson Lloyd a lot. I like Jackson Lloyd. I can tell by, again, his athletic upside is through the charts. And it's just one of those players where if we can develop him right, he's probably going to end up I'm going to predict that he's probably going to end up being 305 pounds, maybe 310 pounds. Best case scenario, I'm talking max best case scenario. But I think the best part about it is, again, the athleticism and just seeing his upside of what he's doing in this game. And overall wise, this was again, I like Simmons, I like the move, but I was a lot more excited because I see the direction of what DeBoer is trying to put off with his offensive line and the sort of type of players that he wants. It's specific types. Like specific types. Look at the rankings. Look at the guys that he's trying to recruit. He wants these tall, slim, athletic these athletic tackles that they can build, add some weight on, but still keep that athletic movement, still keep that speed, that quickness, that lateral movement about their game. He did that in Washington 2 to 3 years, including getting guys to transport and develop them. He's doing the exact same thing with these Alabama recruits so far.
Let me get to some donations. We have Bishop. Bishop, thank you for being in here, and thank everybody for being in here. Bishop says, OU offensive line that are 3 stars. I mean, look at that list. And not only that, I mean, Bill Bedenbaugh. I'm going to tell you, and I've said this before, Tyler Guyton was a defensive lineman in high school and even in his early years in college. He came to OU with a very high upside. Good kid, by the way. Great kid. Very high upside, but he was green. Real green. You want to know how long it took Bill Bedenbaugh working with him to make him a first rounder? 1 year. Bill is on a different level, quite frankly, right? Like, there are great offensive line coaches around the nation. Great offensive line coaches around the nation. Bill Bedenbaugh, though, this is what I mean when I say evaluation trumps everything. I'm not saying stars don't matter, because the blue chip ratio has proved true far more often than it's proved inaccurate. So they do matter. But Bill Bedenbaugh is a guy where if he gets a 3-star, I'm going to trust his evaluation over anything else, because Bill is fantastic. He's automatic. Lisa Fitzhugh with the $9.99 saying JMHO strikes again. Exactly so. All on panel nailing it, and 4 and 5 stars. Thank you very much, Lisa Fitzhugh. Jay Townsend with the $5 saying Coach DeBoer chooses players based on them fitting his scheme and whether they fit the Bama culture. Most of them will earn another star. And to your point, whenever we look at, where is this right here? Run the Table Sports talking about Decorian Moore. Decorian Moore is deserving of a 5-star. That kid is freaky good, man. Absolutely crazy good. But I think that there's a chance Russell will pick up his 5th star. 24/7 Sports was talking about it today or yesterday, that they expect him to possibly pick up his 5th star at the Elite 11. There was another guy who evaluates all the prospects and said that Russell has just as high of a ceiling as any other quarterback in this class. And y'all know how I feel about Juju Lewis and about LSU's kid. I mean, I think they are both sensational. Love Kevin Sperry. I think this is a very good quarterback class. So sad to see McIntyre isn't a go, though, for the Elite 11. He had a little injury. Hopefully that heals up. Because Tennessee's quarterback, I think he's really talented. Really talented. Interested in seeing Missouri's quarterback, Matt Zollers, out there. Another kid who's really, really talented. Good quarterback class. Jake, talk to me about Jackson Lloyd.
Yeah, man, I think this is a great pickup. I mean, obviously Ohio State really wanted him. And we kind of thought maybe he was a lean towards Ohio State, that would be more of a battle. But, again, Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff and this staff behind the scenes with recruiting and personnel and our general manager and Courtney Morgan, you just mad shout out to all those guys around Aaron Hodges, Tony Jones, did I say Jatavius Sanders? Yeah. So, I mean, these guys are doing such great work, and these OVs are really standing out, right? To have these guys come in here who are this lean this way and within a weekend change their minds and say, you know what, but I know exactly where I need to be. That there's a lot to be said, and this is a really important part from an overall standpoint in time frame in the recruiting process. So I like Jackson Lloyd, man. Again, maybe probably hit about 300, right around there, 295, 300, from a standpoint that he's just super athletic, very smooth in his movements. So his bend's really good. The guy can run. He's going to be one of those guys. We talk about pin and pull a lot. This is one of those guys that fits that mold. Exactly what we saw at Washington with that Joe Moore award-winning line. So I like it. I mean, you see his basketball skills. I mean, you see his baseball skills. What's cool about him too, and I read this on 3 on an article, at least I believe it was on 3. Is that he's going to be an early enrollee. So he'll sign in December, and he'll be an early enrollee, be on campus already putting that work in to get ready for that next season. And it'll be interesting to see, can he come in and challenge anybody, right? It's always interesting. It's nice to have guys who are ultra competitive. And that's the one thing about him with his mindset, is everyone says the same thing. He's not scared to compete. Well, then boom, Bama's for you, baby. You know what I'm saying? You're not scared to compete, man. This is the place you need to go, right? Because you're going to get diversity in what you're doing as far as your run block, your pass block, and your ability to showcase your athleticism for the next level. So yeah, if you're not scared to compete and you want to be seen, what NFL teams, you think they are paying attention, right? They are watching. Alabama is not going anywhere. Especially go look at what they just did with Washington's draft class. Of course, they're paying attention now, because now DeBoer has even more talent. Like it's going to be kind of wild to sit there and watch as these guys come through and how they develop and where they really hit their peak or can continue to have a ceiling, as they move to the next level after being at Alabama. So I'm excited. To watch him for sure.
Yeah, David said Ohio State really wanted him. Listen, David, Bama had to get one over on Ohio State because y'all got Quincy Porter. That kid's a monster, right? That kid's going to be a monster. Bama and OU were after him, which leads us into a conversation we're about to have. And y'all got Caleb Downs, which still hurts my heart. So we had to we had to get something over on y'all, and luckily Jackson Lloyd, really high on him. Really like what he is able to do. Brinsky, talk to me about Jackson Lloyd.
I think Coach and Smoot and Jake really kind of pushed Jackson Lloyd on me a little bit more when we was talking about him Friday. Like I was cool on him until I actually started to watch like tape of him. Yes, he's really a great football player.
Yeah.
I can't lie to you. He's definitely physical. And I think that being a 3-sport athlete helps a lot. He has a whole lot of movement, especially when you look at him. You see the thing that stands out with him is his length and him being physical, the way he moves, the way he does at 6'6", 290. I think he's gonna have to drop some because we're really not even seeing those 300-pound linemen anymore like we used to. So I don't know the exact weight, maybe probably 270 at the most. I don't know, 280. I don't know. Whatever works, but the one thing that Jake said that stood out about him, he wants to compete. Those are the guys that you want at Alabama. Guys that are not afraid to compete because you know you're going against the best of the best. And I think with that, especially with him saying he committed to Alabama, I think he's going to he may not take any more commitment. I mean, not more commitments, more visits like Keelan Russell, which is definitely my quarterback. I love that kid, man. Ever since I seen that, I fell in love with the kid. But Jackson Lloyd is going to be very special. Hopefully we get him and Ty Hayward, and that's just going to be too much fun then. We are moving everybody on that line, and I think running backs are going to pay attention to that and want to run behind that offensive line because it's going to be something special down the line.
Coach Sean, talk to me.
Kid is 6'7", 280 pounds, I would say. Kid averaged 15. Yeah. Kid averaged 15 points and 8 rebounds in basketball. Kid is a slugger in baseball. Kid is very, very nimble, good hands. His pass set is not lazy. The kid doesn't overextend a lot. He doesn't get caught, off balance a lot. Very, very, very smooth toss up. I've said from the jump, this kid, I didn't even know who this kid was at the time, but I seen him. I seen the competition he played against. I said, this kid is awesome. He could play inside. He could play out. I'm pretty sure he's with his athleticism, they'll keep him at tackle. I would like to imagine. And he's a high-rated kid. This kid's probably going to be a 5-star before it's over. He's starting now to go into his senior year camping a lot. This was a huge win for Alabama, man, especially just like Coach J said and Coach, both Coach J's, Coach JM and Coach J, Brinsky hit on it. This kid's athleticism transitions well to what Coach DeBoer wants to do. It's a reason why he recruited these kids who are lighter in weight, who can actually get out of their stances quick, pull across the formation, backside formation, pin, pull, trap. It's a reason why you get guys like this to understand shoulder leverage, right? And just to wrap this up on this star thing, I'm not saying 5 stars don't matter. Some 5 stars fit the bill, right? We all know Julio Jones was and AJ Green, those guys were just head and shoulders above everybody. But I remember a kid from Georgia named Jordan Davis, who was 6'6", 330. He was a number 50 ranked tackle. You had kids from Auburn, somebody named Cornice Miller that was ranked above him. All of these people who I don't even know where the hell they're at now, right? Jordan Davis was a dominant player because he got developed, right? Antonio Alfano was ranked above him. Jamil Burrows, Warren Brinson, all these people, right? This was a 3-star kid, played a small school, and look at him. I'm not saying stars don't matter, guys, but development matters more. We're lucky to get this young man at tackle, and it's definitely a win for Alabama.
Can I throw in one thing? Ty, my fault.
Go for it, Brinsky.
I'm about to say the only thing I need Jackson Lloyd to do, the only thing I don't like, Coach, is he has 8 rebounds. You 6'6", man.
Yeah,
Just
6'7".
give me 10. Just give me 10.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was a
like
three.
tall guys and they don't get rebounds.
Yeah.
That bothers me.
You know today's basketball, Brinsky, they want to stay on the 3-point line. They don't want to get down in the
Yeah.
paint.
I'm about to
Was
say
he-
with his size, he'll be dominating. He should be
Yup.
getting 15.
Facts.
Was he really Moonrocka? Moonrocka says Antonio Alfano. That's Adam Lamparello's boy. They were high school classmates. Were they really? First off, though, hold on. Before we throw any shade on Alfano, he's had a wild story, right? And I know he dealt with epilepsy. He's dealt with a lot. I'm really rooting for him to be able to do something, whether it's football or not, to make an impact positively.
He's in the CFL.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man.
And I was just speaking to rankings. That's all.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I wanted to hit these comments right here because Anthony asks about Luke Nickel, the Miami quarterback. Do I think he's going to earn his 5th star? What do you think? Do I think he's deserving of it? Anthony, this is the tough part. Because there are so many good quarterbacks in this class. I think that if you were to spread out this class's quarterbacks amongst different classes, you would see guys like a Keelan Russell already be a 5-star, right? You would see guys like a Luke Nickel because he is really, really good. He wouldn't be number 2. Like he would be much higher ranked. But because this is such a loaded quarterback class, I don't know like how many 5-stars they're going to end up with. That being said, I do think Luke Nickel is going to fly up the board. If I'm not mistaken, what is he, 239th in the nation right now per the composite? Let me check. No, 293rd. Yeah, he's better than that. 6'2", 205 this past year. Almost 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns. He's a really good quarterback, and like you said, he is really turning heads on the camp scene. I think he's going to fly up the rankings. I don't know how many 5-stars there will be, though. Right? Like, I don't know. Because there are so many good quarterbacks. Like, what's Matt Zoller's ranked? That kid's a baller. KJ Lacey is a monster with Texas. He's not a 5-star. Like, this is a really good quarterback class. A really, really good quarterback class. Tavian St. Clair, David pointed it out. That guy is unbelievable. I actually forgot about Tavian St. Clair because he and Underwood are just like so darn good that it's almost easy to be like, okay, we don't even need to have that conversation anymore. They're spoken for, right? St. Clair was a low 3-star over a little year ago, now ready to start. Number 2 quarterback in the class, number 2 player in the class, depending on where you look, David. I mean, he is a monster. Absolute monster, killing it in Ohio, right? Killing it in Ohio. That's the 26 class, Boomer.
Yeah, and he's good.
But O'Neal is a monster. O'Neal's a
O'Neal is
monster.
good.
But that's that 26 class. The 25 class from top to bottom, loaded with quarterbacks. I mean, it is ridiculous. This is a great class. A great class. If you need a quarterback, this is a great class to do your work in. Ohio State has a guy. Tennessee has a guy. Missouri has a guy. Texas has a guy. USC has a guy. LSU has a guy. Miami, I like Luke Nickel. And Keelan Russell completed over 70% of his passes in Texas 6A football. Like
That's
in
just
Duncanville.
Crazy. 26 is shaping up to be like that, though, too.
26 is really good. But it reminds me, there was a class a few years ago. It was the class with Arch, Nicholas Iamaleava, Jackson Arnold. Like top to bottom, that quarterback class was ridiculous. Like absolutely ridiculous. Even the 4-stars and like some of those 3-star quarterbacks, you'd watch them and you're like, geez Louise, this kid is unbelievable. Like this is so I don't know if he'll end up as a 5-star, Anthony. And then speaking about y'all's tight end from 24, I did think he was underrated. I did. I really liked y'all's 24 tight end edition. And last year's tight end class was really weird. Really, really weird. I think Caleb Odom was the lone 5-star. He's since transitioned to wide receiver. OU got a guy, Devon Mitchell, who the only reason I don't think he was a 5-star is because he'd reclassified. Right? He was a 5-star in the class of 2025, actually one of the top players. No, Jimmy, you're right here. We see you.
Mhm.
Yeah, really good, really interesting tight ends class last year, but I really like the guy y'all got. Speaking on Jackson Lloyd, I don't know that there's much more to say. I think y'all put it well. He's perfect for this scheme of pin and pull. So that's why I love this addition. I love the work that they're doing on the offensive line. And here's the thing that's so impressive, guys. You know, all of y'all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Tink, Alabama hey, Julian Sayin is a monster. Julian Sayin's a monster, Chris. But Keelan Russell is a monster as well. And he's probably going to be a 5-star, right? No doubt about that. But Julian Sayin's a dude. I think he's going to be really good at Ohio State. I think that if he takes 1 year, and I say this about everybody, this isn't relegated to Julian Sayin. This is my stance on any freshman quarterback. I don't want to roll out my true freshman quarterback unless I absolutely, unequivocally have to. In a perfect world, every true freshman I said this about Bryce Young, and Bryce Young's one of my favorite players of the last decade. Even he coming out of high school, I was like, okay, let him sit for a year. Let him sit, let him learn, and then let him go. And it'll be all well and good. Sayin's going to be a monster. Sayin's going to be a monster. Just let him sit for a year. I said it whenever he was in this class. I love Julian Sayin, so I'm not moving off of that now, right? And he's got a really good offensive coordinator up there. I'm wishing him all the best, but I do hope that he sits 1 year, gets acclimated in a college strength and conditioning room, and then next year he will go out there and do his thing. I think he could have ate in KD's offense. I do too, C-Dub. I think that Julian Sayin, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, he was so interesting because I think he was maybe the safest quarterback last class in terms of, like, I think he had the highest floor, where it's just like he is already pretty polished in a lot of what he's doing. Oh, of course, David. I that's just a general stance I have. He's very good, very polished. I thought he was the safest bet last year in the quarterback class. Now let's talk about Oklahoma getting a massive win that's really shocking. Marcus Harris from Mater Dei. And guys, this was someone who didn't even have Oklahoma in his top list. Then he takes the visit, speaks to Emmett Jones, and pulls the trigger. Now, I have long said that I thought Emmett Jones was the home run hire for Brent Venables. Now, bringing in Todd Bates, there was already that relationship, right? So, like, that's a great hire. You had Bill Bedenbaugh, but you retained Bill Bedenbaugh. Still a great hire. Bringing back in Schmitty, that was big. Retaining DeMarco was big. But Emmett Jones, I think there's a principled argument that that's one of the biggest moves he has made. The guy is a recruiting guru, a fantastic wide receiver coach, and it all ended up with a big-time win this weekend for a guy who's very talented. Listen, when Marcus Harris is healthy, that guy's different. Fantastic route runner. As a true freshman, ran an 11.14 100-meter dash, and that's as a freshman. So, I mean, he's probably under 11 seconds right now. When healthy, absolute dude. This was someone on Bama's radar. But the reason why, and I said there's the Ohio State connection, Bama and Oklahoma were both on Quincy Porter, recruiting him, chipping away at him. Porter goes to Ohio State. Marcus Harris now commits to Oklahoma. Bama, interestingly enough, has Caleb Cunningham coming in for a visit. They have Kalik Lockett on campus because Keelan Russell is doing a fantastic job at recruiting these guys. And they have Meadows, who they're recruiting. So looks like there are going to be a lot of interesting wide receiver prospects in this class. Jay, talk to me about Marcus Harris to Oklahoma. Was that surprising for you?
Yeah, it was. Because I had no clue he was even on the radar. Or maybe Oklahoma won him. To be honest with you, I thought USC was going to be one of his top schools. I know for the most part. I mean, since you're right. They, a lot of the recruiters they go to Santa Ana Barbara, and for the most part, Mater Dei they hosted a couple camps, and a lot of the USC scouts were kind of there. So I thought USC was going to was potentially going to be on the radar for them. But no, I mean, just congrats to Oklahoma. You got one of the best high school players. Maybe not one of the best prospects, but in terms of high school players at the receiving position, he's one of the best. I mean, I remember watching him sophomore year, junior year, was off the damn charts. Especially in those Bosco games, man. Especially during those Bosco games. I definitely remember his probably the one showcase that he pretty much the coming out party was what was that school tie? Bishop Gorman was when they went up against Bishop Gorman, and God, that was a hell of a game. If y'all, I'm telling you, man, if y'all want to just look at some quick highlights about what a high school football game actually is, look up Mater Dei versus Bishop Gorman. God, that game was Zachariah Branch. Oh boy. But no, that was kind of his coming out party. Listen, he's an explosive athlete. Get behind the defense, has sure hands, explosive route runner. Has a very versatile route tree. So, or I should say, a much more advanced route tree than a lot of other kind of high school players. And that's Mater Dei, man. Very similar to what we talked about with Xavier Brown and some of these other kids that are coming out of Mater Dei. I mean, for the most part, you're going to get the coaching. These kids are going to get the coaching. I mean, if you take a look at some of these Mater Dei coaches' salaries, listen, I don't like the pocket watch, man. But if you're curious about what Mater Dei coaches make, I mean, trust me, some of these coaches make more than NFL coaches. I'm not even exaggerating about that. I mean, these coaches make money, and these are professional coaches. These are some of the. I mean, these are some of the best trainers that ends up turning into coaches during the fall season. A lot of these guys end up playing in the NFL. A lot of these guys actually ended up as coaches and just ended up as college coaches, professional coaches, whether it's in the CFL. I know personally there's an assistant coach that coached for the UFL that's gonna coach at Mater Dei this season. So it's I mean, trust me. I mean, these kids in terms of development and in terms of just getting ahead of the curve, I mean, these kids are ready for camp settings. Let's just say that. These kids are ready for camp settings. And this is the reason why they always continue to win MVPs. And now all of a sudden we got these offensive line, these offensive line and deep, and these specifically only offensive linemen and defensive lineman camps. And Mater Dei's group continues to dominate, right? Mater Dei and Bosco. But no, I mean, for the most part, no, he's an explosive athlete, much more advanced athlete. This is a kid that could have dominated as a true freshman. But Mater Dei's receiving core is ridiculously stacked, guys. Very, very stacked. I mean, any other place in the country, this is probably a 1,000-yard receiver. I think he actually ended up shy of getting 700 yards in both consecutive seasons.
6 yards shy.
Yeah, there were some injury issues.
Yep.
And but you know how Mater Dei is. I mean, they're like a machine factory. One player gets hurt, one dude gets, you rotate the other one in, you don't miss a beat. But no, I think that's a big one for Oklahoma. I think that's a very, very big one for Oklahoma, and a player that could potentially contribute as a true freshman. We talked about, you don't want to play freshman until you absolutely are sure. This is one of these kids that very similar to what I talked about with Xavier Brown. A lot of these Mater Dei kids, especially the receiving position, a lot of these kids are ready to go, right? It's a factory, man. And these guys, a lot of these players are ready to play. This is a guy that for the most part has been dominant in the camp settings. I'm honestly surprised he's ranked 225th. I'm surprised he's not ranked a little bit higher than that. But, by the end of this thing, he could end up as being at least a top 150 player. But no, this is a big gift for Oklahoma and someone that definitely adds, definitely to what Bates and the rest of this crew wants to do with their offense. So I'm excited to see what happens with them, man. Big get by Oklahoma for sure.
Jake, talk to me.
100. And hey, everybody, we do see your comments, FYI. It's just hard because there is so much. You guys I see a couple comments in there of people like, we're not acknowledging. We try to, but what do you guys want us to do? To acknowledge or talk football? We're trying to do both. So just please be a little patient with us. Please be a little patient.
And I'm not the smartest cookie in the cookie sheet.
Yeah,
so you know what I mean? Give me some grace.
We try to do our best. We really do. But it is good to see everybody in here. C-Dub, good to see you. Jimmy, Steven, I saw you in here. There's Tink, what's up, man? A lot of good people in here. So I will say it's interesting. Like Oklahoma's trying to make some moves. You know what I mean? Like, I like what they're doing. They have they do a great job with their wide receivers, and you can already look at their receiving core right now, and everyone is very, very high on Oklahoma's receiving core for this season, and they should be. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, Seth Luttrell is their offensive coordinator, and you have a quarterback in Jackson Arnold. It's going to be fun to watch. But they've done a great job. I like Marcus Harris. For a minute there, we thought, just because of the connection to DeBoer, and they're recruiting him at Washington, that he was going to be a push for Alabama. I mean, we saw him on campus during spring ball. There was a lot of talk with him and Jamarcus Shepard, the relationship there. It was really interesting. You know what I mean? From a standpoint too, that it sounded like his Oregon visit got canceled or something got mishappen. He chooses to shoot down to Oklahoma and sees right away, like, hey, this is a spot for me. I like the way it feels, and it should be. I mean, I'm going to tell you this, Brent Venables has done a really good job at Oklahoma, and he's doing work, and they're going to be a team. I mean, we've picked them. A lot of us have picked them as kind of that dark horse for this year, but they, you look to the future with them, they are going to be a team in the SEC, especially with BV there, that is going to be a team to be reckoned with, right? I have a lot of respect for what he does. I have a lot of respect for his philosophy. It's funny because everybody, I was reading something the other day talking about these different philosophies and these different mindsets on coaches. And you have some coaches who go about it more of the hard ass way, right? Like that was Nick Saban's way, right? And then you have the coaches who are more of a player's coach. So they gave a comparison of Pete Carroll at USC, but Pete Carroll at USC, with his energy and his excitement, and just go, 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 right? Positivity. His style at USC was dominant. It worked. Nick Saban's style obviously was dominant. It worked, right? And now you see Kalen DeBoer in comparison to a Brent Venables, right? Brent Venables is very much here's the deal, man. You come here to work. That's what's going down. Katie has that same feel, except his is more of this complete, it's all good. Everything's good. We're going to have some fun while we do it. And we're going to be real ties of family. I'm a little more low key. I think those styles are interesting, but their approach to the game is very similar, right? About the details, about these specific aspects and what they go after in their players. So it's funny that we have a Marcus Harris who is a player that, was highly considering Bama, and he ends up at Oklahoma, right? Because there's a similar philosophy that works there, and why these guys would be successful in these programs. We'll start to see that with some of these recruits and where they end up going in comparison to maybe where we thought they were going to go, right? I mean, Jackson Lloyd, we go back to it, we just talk about that feeling of him. Everyone's thinking Ohio State. As soon as he gets back to Alabama, it's easy. It's not even, it's a no-brainer. A lot of these kids we're seeing that a lot with these recruiting visits. It'll be interesting to see after this weekend coming up what's going to happen, right? Because I'm sure we're going to have some more commits. So, and the same thing's happening in Oklahoma. So it's really interesting to see that. I think Oklahoma too, they are very picky about the wide receivers they go after. We look at who they already have committed, right? And I think it's impressive when you do look at their commits, right? They have a 3-star kid, and it looks like that is Grayson Harris, 5'10", 170. He's out of Texas. He's going to be a great player. Really like him. I know Alabama had identified him too. But then you look at Elijah Thomas, right? And then for this upcoming visit, this visit week, they have some studs as well. So, and one of them is a Ohio State commit. They have Andrew Marsh showing up on campus for this upcoming weekend, and they have Quincy Porter. So it's going to be interesting as far as what happens and as they continue to develop their class. But yeah, Marcus Harris, what great grab for them. And again, you credit Jones, man. He's skilled.
Let me hit this real fast. Stink Ass Cat with the $20. I love that name every single time it comes up. Stink's been a great great viewer of this channel for a long time. He says, I appreciate that these guys all treat Oklahoma fans so well. I don't know that it's that we do that. We just love talking football. And I think every single one of us do believe that Brent Venables is making it better, right? Like Lincoln's a good coach, but I am of the mindset that he's not going to get over the hump because he lacks physicality in his teams, to be quite frank. Whereas Brent Venables, I mean, it's his first time being a head coach, and he is killing it. Moon Rocka, so anybody know what Brent Venables is actually like? So I've never met or talked to him, but I will say this. My old roommate camped at OU. Or I'm not at OU, at Clemson. He camped at Clemson and got a scholarship offer from Clemson to play football. It's crazy. Both my roommates played college football, and he loved Venables. I mean, absolutely loved that guy. And I know a few guys that have played college football that have had interactions with Venables, and the reviews you hear, Moon Rocka. So I've never talked to him, but everybody I know that's ever interacted with him, I mean, they come back with such rave reviews about the type of coach he is, about the type of person he is, about the way he runs things. Yeah, and it is, you know, it's interesting. And then we have Crimson Blood 22 with the AAA in here to support the coaches. Respect. And one more thing before I pass it to y'all. David said, I've said it before, I just don't understand the Oklahoma hype. Maybe I should further look into it. So I think it's very easy, David, and this isn't just you, this is anybody, to look at Oklahoma at what they did under Lincoln Riley. And this is still a work in progress for Brent Venables. No mistake about it. But Lincoln gutted that team. Gutted it. And he inherited it. Go ahead, Jake.
Wait, no, Ty, speaking of gutted, because hold on. Ty, let me ask you a personal question. Because we talked about Harris, and I got curious. I'm like, how in the hell, like USC, like it's not like they haven't been back in their backyard, like, you know, and they haven't been going to Mater Dei and they haven't been going to the camps. Matter of fact, out of any school, they've been there the most. If I were to ask you between Mater Dei and St. John Bosco, how many kids were offered by USC? What would your number be? What would be your estimation of just offers for both schools? How many kids do you think got offered?
Better be 12, 15.
Oh, no, 5. 5 kids from St. John Bosco and Mater Dei combined got offered. The entire state of USC has offered more kids.
That's criminal.
Alabama than they've offered more kids from the state of Alabama than St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. They've offered more Georgia kids, Texas kids, Ohio kids than St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. This is why he needs to be fired, because he doesn't know what he's doing in terms of his recruiting region. Matter of fact, when it comes to recruiting the state of or offering the state of California, he's offered more kids from Georgia. He's offered more kids from Texas. He's offered more kids from Bama. He's offered more kids from New Jersey. And I like New Jersey. I like those kids in New Jersey. But he's offered. But there's 5. I can go on. I can go on. There's 2 more states. Michigan. He's offered more kids from Michigan than the state of California. This dude is a clown. I'm just gonna come out and just say it right here, guys. I'm wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. How in the hell are all these scouts in the back of it? For those who don't know where Mater Dei and St. John Bosco are located, it's right there. It's right now. Of course, you got all the traffic and stuff like that, so it's gonna take you a while for you to get there. But it's right. It's there. It's in their backyard. And for this dude to only offer 5 kids from St. John Bosco and Mater Dei, when the University of Texas has offered double than that, this is why he needs to go. Right here. I know we had this conversation, but that just ticked me off because I'm wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. He's taking these unofficial visits. Why is he? What's going on here? I had to do some information when you guys were talking. They haven't even given this dude a scholarship. This dude's got over 20 offers, and he hasn't even gotten a damn scholarship. What? You guys got it. You got it. This is for anybody who wants to defend Lincoln Riley. This is why he needs to go right here, because he doesn't know what he's doing in terms of recruiting. And then you know what's going to happen? He'll offer these kids late in the process because he did this last year. He did the exact same thing last year with the Bosco and Mater Dei kids. He didn't offer them early. He offered them extremely late into the process. And then everybody wants to wonder why they're not doing well in recruiting because he doesn't know what the hell he is doing. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, let me add on to this, right? Because, and David, this is continuing on to like answering your question about why it is. I have some faith in Oklahoma coming up. It's because of a lot of what Jance was saying. Lincoln Riley would do what I call empty recruiting. And I guess I missed the vegetables reference. Moonrocka and David laughing at something vegetables. Did I say vegetables or something?
No, that's how they say Venables.
Gotcha. Venables.
See, I think
okay. That's
Venables
funny.
A stud, dude.
Yeah. So let me talk about this real fast. And then Brinsky, I'm gonna shoot it over to you about Marcus Harris. Lincoln Riley would do what I call fast food recruiting. Okay. I have a lot of different analogies for recruiting. Recruiting is like building a house, right? Recruiting is like this, that, or the other. But one of the analogies I have for recruiting is that it's like going out and eating a good, comprehensive meal. Now, listen, I may have my questions about Ryan Day, but the guy puts together comprehensive recruiting classes, right? There's no doubt about it. The guy puts together comprehensive recruiting classes as opposed to what Lincoln Riley did. And let me explain to you the difference. When you go to McDonald's, you get yourself a Big Mac, you get yourself a Diet Coke and some fries. That's a meal, right? Like we can all agree that's a meal. But is that a meal conducive to long-term success? No. It's empty calories. God knows it's probably not even real meat. Probably is something I said, McDonald's, don't sue me for slander. I'm poor. I don't need that. So, but it's not a good complete meal. Whereas when you look at a Kirby class, a Ryan Day class, a Nick Saban class, if DeBoer is able to close out this class the way he is, a DeBoer class, a Brent Venables class, OU fans cover your ears, even a Sark class. It's one of the differences I've talked about with the way Sark recruits as opposed to his predecessors. It's one thing to be able to pull in talented players. Right? It is easier to recruit at the Ohio State. True, David, no doubt about it. Y'all have one of the best brands in the nation, but it would be very easy for Ryan Day just to put together a Big Mac class, right? That's all fluff. Hold 1 second, then I'll pass it to you. Whenever you look, though, are you getting your meats? Are you getting your vegetables, your grains? Like, are you getting all of the things? And when you look, these top recruiting classes, they put together classes that are comprehensive. That's kind of why I do have questions about Ohio State, because they've had unbelievable talent. And that's stemming from the recruiting, right? Like that's what I look at this. And Lincoln Riley recruits empty calories, not in terms of recruiting bad players. He gets great players. But at Oklahoma, he took a class of 16 guys and was like, okay, I'm ready to roll out next year. Bama's taking 26, Georgia's taking 27, Ohio State's at 25, and you're recruiting 16. You got 10 plus scholarships to give, and you didn't do anything. Jay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, man. He's offered more kids from Bishop Gorman than Mater Dei and St. John Bosco combined.
Bro, I would be camped out at Mater Dei. Just camped out. How is that even a thing? Like, it's all well and good to recruit Bama. Recruit nationally. That's how this is now. But you better have a house. You better have a tent outside of St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. And every day that practice gets out, you're over there shaking hands. Hi, I'm Lincoln Riley. How are you? You know about USC? Because we know about you. Right? Like that. I don't get this. That's a far cry.
Yeah, coach. If we can, I can literally look outside your stadium. The stadium's 20 minutes away. You could literally be on your scooter and your bike, ride your bike all the way to campus. What is he doing? See, and the reason why I'm so upset is because for this chat, I'm not going to name specific names, but there are people in here that will defend this dude to the death. They would have said that he needs to get 1 or 2 more years of chance. How? He can't recruit his own damn state. His own backyard. These two schools, man, these two schools are so close to each other. They're 20, 25 minutes away from the damn campus. You can ride your bike there if you want to. And you only recruit 5? 5 kids?
That's shameful.
You got 30 kids. You got 30 kids from both these schools combined, plus that got D1 offers, and you only offered them 5 kids. You're telling me you look at your evaluation board and you saw 5 kids from the top 2 schools in the nation for the last 5 years? Are you kidding me? This is y'all gonna get me going. Y'all gonna get me going here, guys. I don't want to hear anything about Lincoln Riley. If they have a 7-5, 8-4 season, he needs to go. Because I'm telling you, they're gonna go right down the drain. This is why they don't win football games. This is why they have to go to the transfer portal and get 20 plus people every single year and have to pay players and pay players and offer them these $1 million condos. This is why, because he refuses to do the simple things, which is winning his own state. How in the hell do you have 4 to 5?
What did he say about Oklahoma?
What
did he say about Oklahoma, Jance? Whenever he went to California. You remember what he said? He said,
Yeah.
I got to go somewhere where I can recruit. I got to go somewhere where they have the players right there. You're there, brother. You're there. Listen, I said this last time. We had a conversation actually about Lincoln in our group chat today. And we were talking about how do we evaluate him. My point was it's more damning what he couldn't get done at Oklahoma, because at Oklahoma, he inherited a Ferrari. Ready to go. Rearing. They had everything. At USC, he inherited a bad program and has done nothing to turn it around. Listen, I don't think that Lincoln Riley will get it done. We talked about this not too long ago. I put them at 5th in the Big Ten. I think that's a very realistic outlook, that they could finish 5th in the Big Ten. And I don't see it getting better anytime soon. It's rough, but it's wild that he said about Oklahoma, I need to leave here and go somewhere that I can attract top talent. And Brent Venables has out-recruited him every single year. One of them is a first-time head coach. The other isn't. You don't get that excuse anymore, Lincoln. You had the blueprint. Like, both guys came from great head coaches. Dabo over at Clemson. Lincoln had Stoops. Lincoln had Stoops. You both had a great blueprint, but only one of them is successfully implementing a blueprint. Right? If he went to LSU, the defense would recruit itself. Sooner, he would find a way to not recruit defense. Like, he just isn't physical. He's just not physical. Brinsky, talk to me about Marcus Harris.
Oh man, it ain't too much I can say, man. I'm just loving man, this is why I love Jay so much, man. But we literally got 2 names. We got Lincoln O'Reilly and Brent Vegetables. That is gonna be a thing. I love it. But you got to protect your backyard, man. And that is sad, man, that you are not recruiting inside your state. You have to win your state. I think if Nick Saban was doing what Lincoln Riley was doing, he would have never, for one, we not winning no national championships, for one. And 2, I doubt he would have made it 4 years at Alabama, because they would have ran him out of town. It's just no way I don't understand that, bro. That's really asinine. Like, he's really doing that. But the little bit I just have on Marcus Harris, man, talented kid at modern day. Got Chris Harris Jr. there with him, so that's going to be a dynamic duo with those guys. That's going to be pretty dangerous. You can't double coverage both of them. 6'1", has good hands. I think Oklahoma got a diamond in the rough. We're gonna see what they do with him. They have been good at receivers. They're very, very good at developing receivers over the years with the Kenny Stills, with the CD Lamb, uh, Hollywood Brown, all those guys. So we're gonna see what he's gonna turn into, and I think his ranking gonna go up anyway. And like you said, Lincoln Riley may offer him late too.
Yeah. Jay, did he offer Marcus Harris?
No, he didn't give him a scholarship. He didn't even give him. That's what ticked me off. He didn't give him a scholarship. How in the hell do you not give this kid a scholarship?
Did Doug Belk offer McDonald? I'm going to lose my mind if they didn't offer Chuck McDonald.
Modern Day has Modern Day by themselves. They have 20 plus kids that got 20 plus kids that got D1 scholarships. And only 4 of them got one. And the other one, and you got and because I said 5 from Modern Day and St. John Bosco combined. So the other one, I only saw 1 for Bosco. Only 1 from that school. So this is why I'm telling you, man. This is why all you Lincoln Riley defenders out there, man. This is why he needs to go. Top 2 schools in the country, and only 5 players for this year got an offer. How? What are you doing? This preseason All-American, folks. This kid doesn't even have an offer from USC. What do you? I need y'all to take it. I need y'all to take it.
Yeah, Coach Sean, talk to me, man. He is heated.
Shout out to Eric D, my brother Eric D in the house, man. Shout out to Tink, who's in the house. JLB's in the house, man. Jimmy Lee Baker. I mean, for me, man, Marcus Harris, I mean, the kid is an outstanding route runner. To me, that's his best strength when I watch him. The kid is young. Like when it's a 15-yard dig, a 10-yard dig, this kid really run the dig. He understands how to set the safety up. He understands when you run the dig route and you cut in. He understands leverage as far as the safety. He understands post corners. He understands how to run on the toes of the safety. The kid is a great route runner. But if I'm an Oklahoma fan, just me personally, this don't make it right. I'd be more excited about Elijah Thomas. That kid is probably even better. When you look at his film, that kid, man, can't tell me that kid don't got a 40-inch vertical, right? I mean, so their future as far as the receivers is outstanding.
And
right?
they got
Marcus
that cat
Harris
out of Georgia last year who's super underrated.
Yeah, I mean, they got some really good young guys coming up. I think Elijah Thomas is a better athlete, but I think Marcus Harris do what gets you open better in college football. DBs hate. Let me tell you something. And Jake can speak to this. DBs hate guys who run precise routes. Sure, speed kills on a deep route and things of that nature, open field space. But running these guys that really run the route the way it's supposed to be really tires you out as a defensive back, man. So they got some great guys, man. They got some great guys. I'll take my hat off to Oklahoma. I think they've done a great job. I'm on record saying that Brent Venables has recruited well in his first year and a half, 2 years there. He's really, really, really tried to bolster the trenches and get some really, really good guys on the outsides to complement what they already have. I think Oklahoma's in great position for the future. As far as Lincoln, ask yourselves, if Oklahoma would never join the SEC, would he still be at Oklahoma? I say yes. He understands that the SEC is a league that you have to play defense. Doesn't matter how good your offense is. Ask Tennessee. If you can't play defense in this league, Kentucky will beat you late in November, right? Mississippi State will beat you in October. You have to play defense in this league. I think it's what separates the SEC late in the season. I think there's great teams in every conference that could play with each other. But I think what separates the SEC is the defensive league. And this is from Big Ten coaches saying this. That league is different when it comes to late in season defensive play. That's what's different. Ohio State in the Big Ten, Michigan in the Big Ten, a couple schools in the Big 12, couple schools in the Pac-12. These schools can, the top of the conferences can play with each other, right? But when you start going down the list, you got to really look at the defenses in the trenches in the SEC. Going to LSU in late October, man, late at night on a Saturday night, that's tough. That's tough. And Texas and Oklahoma are going to have to see that. Lincoln Riley, to me, as far as what Coach Jay was saying, Coach Jay hit it right on the head. This guy's an offensive guy. He loves offense. I think I remember Baker saying something about this guy knows more about offense than most coaches in the world. Like, he's an offensive guy. That's his bread and butter. Every coach has a bread and butter, but Lincoln went to a conference to where you can afford to play decent defense and win some games, right? I'm on record saying it's just music to my ears. I don't know if you want to call it music or death by 1,000 cuts. I'm not used to hearing USC fans say 8-4 would be a good season. I'm just not used to that, right? That blows my mind. I get it, right? I understand what you're saying. At this stage, 8-4 would be good in a new conference, coaching going into his third year, I suppose there. I get it. I understand it. It's weird to hear USC fans say 8-4 is a good season. I understand the circumstances. And it also shows you how far they've fallen off. Lincoln Riley, to me, outside of offenses and quarterbacks, I don't see much he's done. You had great teams in Oklahoma that you probably could have won 1 or 2 national championships had you had even an average defense, right? But you didn't. You didn't really put emphasis on that side of the ball to go get, what's his name, Alex, whatever his name is, to go get that guy Grinch, I think it is. Wasn't he at Oklahoma at one point in time?
Oh, Christ's mercy, yeah.
To get this guy
on Grinch.
Facts. And to watch what I watched with the money, Jackson playing bail every 3rd and 1, and you got this kid bailing. Like, I didn't understand the defensive scheme. I could watch it and couldn't tell what the hell defense they were in. I don't know what competent defense they were running. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, ask Damani Jackson. The kid practically said, go look at the interview. The kid said, coming from USC, I came to Bama, and the spring game was hyper than anything I played in, right? I watched people in the stadium. It was people up on the top. I was out there. You know what I mean? We was out there. It was ridiculous. He said that was crazy for a spring game. So if that is what he's elated about, wait till we play a SEC team, right? So, in closing, I think Marcus Harris is outstanding. I think Oklahoma has a couple of receivers that's going to be great, right? And I think Lincoln is Lincoln. As long as he's scoring points and Heisman Trophy candidates at quarterback, he's fine. Damn the record.
Sooner Cowboys, you're about to make me really happy. Is Alex Grinch the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin? Oh my goodness, Alex Grinch is the co-defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, and Bama plays Wisconsin, buddy. It's up. Because they got a great head coach. No, I really like Fickle. Right? Like, I really like Fickle. And Coach, Damani Jackson said it, but we also have an Ohio State fan in the chat.
Yeah.
David, I'm calling upon you right now, my man. Back me up here. Alex Grinch came to Ohio State. Now, the last time Alex Grinch had a really good defense was 2013 at Wazoo, Washington State. It's been 11 years. Now, he was really looking like a name in the industries, right? Like a name in the industry coming out of Washington State. So Ohio State picks him up, right? He comes in there. Ohio State didn't have a terrible defense when he came in there. It was good. But it dropped off a cliff in terms of the rankings under his watch.
Yeah.
He leaves, not much changes. And David, what happens to y'all's defense? It shot up like 50, 60 rankings. Nothing changed except his absence. And it shot up the rankings board. Was one of the better defenses. Now, sure, we can argue some nuance, like, oh, maybe you had more continuity, and I don't remember the injury situation, but maybe there was this, maybe there was, but you know what I do know? One major thing changed. He goes to Oklahoma. They have incremental increases in the defense until the last year it falls off a cliff. Coach, to your point, he calls it the speed defense. I don't know what it is. Like to this day.
Yeah, facts.
I don't know what it is. Like when I look at Womack, it's easy to be like, okay, well, that's a 3-4-4-2-5 nickel, right? Like when I look at Brent Venables, it's easy to be like, okay, he's multiple, but he really likes that 3-3-5 nickel and doing some really cool things out of that 3-3-5 nickel. I have no idea.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, I can't tell what the hell he's running, man. It's very confusing to me. But if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I would be happy with Brent Venables. Brent Venables is going to make sure in this league that you guys don't get ran over. He's going to make sure that your defense is at least in the top 20 of college football. And he's going to recruit that way. Go ask Ole Miss how it is to have a great offense and a subpar defense, right? Ole Miss had probably one of their better defenses they had, and their defense was still trashy last year. They went 10-2 on the season, only losing to Georgia and Alabama, right? You'll win some games with an average defense, but you won't win the conference. You'll get beat by the upper echelon teams every time, man. And I think until Lincoln Riley understands that, I think he's going to struggle. I think he's going to struggle worse in the Big Ten than he did the Pac-12, because the Big Ten is very similar to the SEC. You gotta play defense.
This man, Lincoln Riley, is crazy, man. Let me tell you, he's crazy. This guy is insane. If I'm taking a look at his 2025 offers just from the state of California, and I'm taking a look at of the kids he's offering from 2026. This guy is nuts. He is nuts when it comes to recruit. Fire him now. Fire that dude now.
Jay, what have we been saying?
Crazy. I mean, just no offers to Devon Benjamin, Sam Utu, Brandon Arrington, Brady Smuggle, Deshaun Rodu, Trent Mosley, Tommy Toffee, Jaden O'Neal. Who else?
No offers to Jaden. Well, Lincoln
Dixon
does
Wyatt?
do that weird thing where he takes a quarterback every other class. So if he takes a quarterback in 25, he doesn't recruit one in 20. And I don't care for that. I like a quarterback every class, but that's one of his recruiting strategies. And to your point, better pan out, because Jaden O'Neal looks like a dude.
He didn't even offer Caden Dixon Wyatt. Daniel Odom. He's crazy. This dude's crazy. Kobe Watson, no offer. Madden Williams, no offer. This dude's crazy. But you know what? This is for a lot of you coaching staff, man. This is for the coaching staff out here. This is for a lot of the USC fans. I say, you know what? Let's just give him one more year. Let's just give him a year or two. Right? 8-4 is the standard. He's gonna get things straightened out. This is who you want as your coach. This is your king. This is your king. This is who you want to be as your college football coach right here. Going into Big Ten play when the competition, the talent is much superior. This is your guy. This dude he's crazy. How do you not recruit these kids?
You and I have singled out a name on that staff. And while both of us love the hire that is on USC's staff, both you and I have, and I'm going to pull out a word right here that all of y'all are going to like, right? Pontificated whether or not this hire puts more pressure on Lincoln and actually is spelling what could be the beginning of the end. Tell everybody about who that hire is that you and I have talked about for, oh goodness, ever since they got him, you and I have been like, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Tell the people about that hire.
I forgot.
The inside linebackers co-defensive coordinator, North Dakota State's head coach.
Oh, damn, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot it. I know you're talking about. That's the 80 from Wisconsin. She from Washington. She hired him. publicly, and then there was some rumors that Lincoln Riley didn't like the hire. That was not Lincoln Riley's hire, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know, that wasn't his personal hire. That was her hire.
Yeah, and that I think is spelling the beginning of the end for Lincoln. I really, really do. Matt Ince. Remember the name. Remember the name. No, I do love listen, they've made great hires, 5 Adam, but like Jay said, was that Lincoln or was that the school finally putting their foot down saying, no, you worry about the offense. For the love of all that is holy, my brother in Christ, let us worry about the defense, right? Like, we have got to do something. I love some of the hires they've made. Coach Henney on the defensive line, love that. Doug Belk for the secondary coach, love that. Coach Lynn running the defense, really like that hire. Matt Ince, that's a potential home run hire. But that also puts pressure on him. Matt Ince was at North Dakota State winning games. Dude is a great head coach, and now he is a assistant coach at USC. Let them struggle. He fits that Big Ten style better. Going to be interesting to see. Quickly, going to just give a shout out to the University of Texas real fast, getting a big win today for Diabell, 2026 quarterback. I really love his game. Sark is one of those guys, man, who he's done great work with quarterbacks, great offensive mind, absolutely brilliant offensive mind. I wanted to hit this question right here because I think it's interesting. Anthony asks, do you feel that the changing roles on how many practices and how many workout days because of safety has caused most of these muscle tears and groin strains? I don't believe so. I just think that that's kind of one of the things that injuries happen in football. It's football, right? It's just like UFC. I don't know who watched the UFC card this weekend. If you did, I sincerely apologize. It was the worst card I think I've ever watched in my life. And y'all know what a diehard UFC fan I am. It was god-awful. But in the main event, Tatsure Torre gets in Perez in a body lock and leans back. And the way he had him wrapped up, Perez popped his knee. I mean, I don't know what the official injury is, but it's just one of those things where this is a physical sport. Physical sport. David, did you say you watched it too? Am I lying when I say it was a snooze fest? Absolute snooze fest. It's a good thing that I had the boxing fights on too and was more tuned into the boxing fight. Shout out Coach Smook. It's a good thing I was tuned in more to those boxing fights because I was like telling myself like, okay, I'll rewatch the UFC card tomorrow. I don't want to miss these boxing fights. I didn't end up even going back and rewatching a lot of those UFC fights. And you can ask the panel, I am obsessive. Y'all think I love college football? My love of college football is only rivaled. Oh, I was talking about me liking Diabell. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, fair enough because he's a monster. Good win for Texas. Oklahoma looks like they might be getting a big win for the quarterback position. They're trending in the right direction.
What does that do to KJ Lacey?
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know, man.
Bring that up. I thought that.
I don't know.
Thing.
If he loves to compete, he'll stay.
Yeah, if he's about the competition, he'll stay. Because
I don't think he's staying.
I don't think so either. But hey,
I don't think he's staying. You know,
it's one of those things though that these teams they take quarterbacks every year. You know what I mean? Saban did it. Saban took 2 top 10 quarterbacks in the same class, which was wild. That was a crazy. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jake, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. All I was going to say, what's interesting with Grinch, though, it's so funny because this goes to an article. If you guys didn't see it, there was 247 wrote about it, On3 wrote about it, but they were talking about like their concern about Alabama. Anonymous coach said their concern was Alabama's drop off on defense. And I go back to like Alex Grinch, right? Alex Grinch, you know what he ran? His schemes were way too complicated. You know why Ohio State went like they dropped off as far as defensively? It's because he came in there, tried to run like quarters pattern match in a 3-4 hybrid scheme that doesn't that shit doesn't work anymore. Like when you're playing these high-powered offense, I don't know where everyone wants to keep going back to be like, it's going to be a drop-off for Alabama because they're not running the pattern match system. Like, dude, okay, pattern match is hard to run, especially when you run it with a too high shell. Okay, like it's middle of the field open quarters pattern match. It is what that means is, if for those who don't know, middle of the field open is you have two safeties. One safety is closed, two safeties is open up top. Okay. So when you run the pattern match, basically you have, or especially quarters pattern match, it cuts down the middle on an open field. And one side runs one coverage, the other side runs another coverage. Okay. It's all meant to balance the pass attack and have one man over the top. And it's like 3 over 2 and 4 over 3.
4 over 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all meant to have one extra guy to take away these passing. Well, the problem is when you start to add too many rules, it gets really, especially with offenses doing these new pre-snap movements, not just motion, but a lot of pre-snap movement. Yeah, it screws up the entire, like now you're having to try and recalculate your rules really fast. And I've talked about it before, resets that mental OODA loop, right? And now you make mistakes. So he tries to run that with a younger defense at USC. Of course, it's not going to work. At Ohio State, it doesn't work because why? Because those teams come in and they do so much. They do also, especially in the Big Ten, because of their run game, they do a lot of pre-snap movement stuff. Because they do a lot of power run, right? And so, because they want to try and get the uneven numbers, right? So he tries to run that. Well, when he leaves, you know what's funny is the D coordinator who comes into Ohio State. You know what he runs? He runs a vision coverage. He literally runs the same coverage we're going to see at Alabama. So it makes me laugh when I read the comments about these articles about like our concern is Alabama's going to drop off on defense. Are you joking? Like, are you kidding me? Nope. The only reason you'd see some humps and bumps is because you got a young secondary. But even then, like, I think that's you get that figured out really quick, because it's easy to transition from one play call to the next. And guess what? When you are doing a bunch of pre-snap movement motions, now you don't have to reset all these rules, right? And so it's funny that Alex Grinch goes. It'll be interesting to see what he does with that secondary, because he's going to be that secondary co-defensive coordinator, and I wonder how complicated he's going to make it over at Wisconsin.
Make it real complicated. I mean, real messy.
Well, he's going to get eaten apart by Alabama's offense, like eaten apart. Like they're just going to do the same shit they did to USC, and USC and Wisconsin won't keep up because they don't have the same personnel or Caleb Williams to save their ass in the game. That's what's going to happen. So I'm like, yeah, it's going to be real interesting. It's going to be a great game to prep for the run, right, versus Georgia, and get some of these little kinks, because guess who else runs pattern match? Georgia. They just do it they do the Rip Liz pattern match, the cover 3 pattern match instead of
cover 3. Yeah.
So they do middle field closed, right? So little different, but still it's a pattern match concept, same thing. So it's crazy when I hear that talk, man. And then you, like you said, Alex Grinch, it worked at WSU because at that time frame in the Pac-12, nobody was doing these as much pre-snap movement in motion is what they saw later on. And he was able to play with it because the only person doing a high-powered offense was who he was coaching under, which was Mike Leach. So of course they were able to practice against it every day, and that's how they end up him growing to what we thought he would become. We'll see if he's able to adjust and fix his ideas of coverage. But I mean, it's going back to what you're saying though with Texas. I do think, like, I don't know if KJ Lacey stays. I think Dia Bell kind of locks that up, and it's funny because Dia Bell's dad isn't he an NBA player?
I'm not sure.
Is that Raja Bell's son?
I think so. I think
he Raja Bell's son.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, okay, so Sark has that tag right now to take on like these big time like, you know, if your dad was or family is pro sports, just like Archie Manning, right? Like takes him. I just don't see. I wonder where KJ Lacey ends up going next, because I don't see him staying.
Can I add this to what Jake said really quickly? Shout out to Coach Smoot too, man, and all the AAA people in here, man. Shout out to those guys for sure. To add to what Jake said from an offensive standpoint, Jake is 1,000% correct, man. Football has changed in the last few years, man. It's not a lot of teams that run pattern match. It's not a lot anymore. That 4-2-5, I will say, is very good against inside-outside zone, right? If you ask, in my opinion, it's very good against the inside-outside zone. And a lot of teams predicate their offense off inside-outside zone. You know, of the zone scheme, you can do a lot of things in the pass game, the run game with the zone scheme. And that 4-2-5 does, you know, nickel, you know, it does help against those type of offenses, man. The 3-4, if you want to talk about base, yeah, that's good defense, right? But the 3-4 is the type of defense you got to have the right personnel to play that defense, man. You got to have in my opinion, you got to have the right personnel to play that defense where it doesn't work. You got to have the Dallas Turners, those type of guys that can stand up, put their hand down, and play coverage. And I don't want to see Dallas Turner in too many coverage situations. Mm-hmm. I never liked that, to be completely honest. I was a 3-4 guy, but as football changed, we started to see the 3-4 and Saban's base scheme struggle, you know, at times, struggle heavily at times. Guys out of position, you know what I mean, leaving holes in the defense. So I'm all for the change, man. I'm all for the change, especially going into the season that we're about to go against with as many games as we're about to play against, as many high-powered offense as we're going to see, especially to people like Oklahoma. A lot of teams want to go fast now. Shout out to Carla. What's up, Carla? How you doing? Good to see you and LaQuasia. Much love to all of you. Hacker Music. So I agree with Jake 1,000%. As defenses has changed, so has offenses. And I think one feeds off the other.
With our last topic, I wanted to talk about this right here. Because I got to hop on the Bama Standard at 8. Ryan Day had an interesting comment today, right? Talking about Caleb Downs has been in the running back room watching in some of the running back meetings. Now, he didn't explicitly say that he's been taking reps at running back. Unless I missed that, all I saw was that he's been in the meeting room. And listen, correct. Caleb Downs is an incredible football player. Does he have the ability to contribute on offense? Sure. The guy is different, absolutely different. Shout out to JB. Shout out to Carla, Shane B, Hacker 5 Adam, everybody in the chat, Kareem in here. Thank you all for being in here. We really do appreciate it. I want to shout out everybody, but it is hard to try and keep up with the conversation, keep up with comments, and then contribute to the conversation. Because there's
Ray McDuffie in here too, man.
Yeah,
Ray does kick-ass artwork.
McDuffie in here, Moon Rocka in here, but we don't have a moderator or anything putting up comments, right? It's just us doing all of this. David, the Ohio State fan, says we don't need him on offense, in my opinion. I completely agree. Agree, David.
Got plenty of weapons.
Got plenty of weapons, man. Doing too much. You're doing too much.
Your running back room is one of the best in the nation. Arguably number one, right? Like there's a few running back rooms that you can argue as being a top 5 running back room, and you got to put Ohio State's up there. I really like Travion Henderson. I just put down into the comments, David, that I got family all split between New York and Virginia. Henderson's from out in Virginia where my family's at. So I made a call whenever he was in high school and committed to Ohio State, and I said, hey, tell me about him. And they were like, different. Electric. You give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. I mean, he is I really am a big Travion Henderson fan. I'm really hoping that he's healthy all year because I think that him healthy, he's going to turn a lot of heads from scouts. Here's my thing. I know that Ronnie, shout out to Ronnie, Jimmy in here, but Davin Jones in here, everybody is talking about like, oh, well, Travis Hunter did it. Travis Hunter does it out of necessity.
Yeah.
Because they need help, and he's explosive. Like, don't get me wrong. I think they have great wide receivers over there. Like, you've got a lot of talented wide receivers at Colorado, but Travis Hunter's among the premier of them.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Downs played some Wildcat quarterback in high school and did it very well, but he's not Judkins. He's not Travion Henderson.
Not even close.
Right? Like, those guys are dudes, like 4 or 5-star running backs. Dudes. And, I completely get it. Travis Hunter did it. What happened to Travis Hunter? He got hurt. Ohio State brings in Caleb Downs because he shores up that defense. Let him play defense. Specialize in defense and go get drafted high. Work on your craft there. Not saying that he has a lot to work on there. I mean, geez, y'all know how I feel about Caleb Downs. Right? Y'all know how I feel about Caleb Downs. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a true freshman. There's room for improvement for every true freshman in the nation. But why are we going, like, I think that it would be almost a fireable offense if he puts in Caleb Downs at running back and, God forbid, Caleb Downs gets hurt. I think that's a fireable offense. That's what I like to call, gentlemen, the stupidity tax. Why? I almost wonder if Ryan Day isn't just saying this to get media attention. Because why? It doesn't make sense to me. Jay, Jake, Brinsky, Coach Sean, I'm going to pass it around to y'all quickly. Am I misplaced in looking at this? Ryan just playing with everybody? Listen, he could be just trolling, and if he is, fair play to him. Fair play to him, right? Like, that is a good way to generate interaction. Fair. I hope it's that, right? I hope it's that. Do we see any reality where they actually do this? Jay, I'll start with you and then go down the line.
Yeah, we could see this because, I mean, we've seen college football stars that have taken this role. I mean, Miles Jack was literally the third string running back. And I remember Miles Jack the one year he had like 120 tackles, 600 yards rushing, was doing kick return duty. I mean, Jabril Peppers from Michigan, he was doing it. He was taking handoffs. He was catching passes out of the backfield and in the slot. He was playing Wildcat, and of course, as a safety, he was one of the best safeties in the country. And then obviously with Travis Hunter was notable. He was doing that as well. So we've seen players do this, and Caleb Downs, we've seen him in kick and punt return duty. Literally the first punt he had turned into a touchdown. He's a hell of an athlete. There's a possibility where maybe in a few formations here and there that maybe they'll line them up and see what kind of happens there. But no, I mean, when you have Quinshawn Jenkins and Trayvon Henderson, two guys that should be at least day 2 picks, there's no need for him to do this. I mean, even with Miles Jack, I mean, the reason why Miles Jack got the carries was because they had a couple running backs, including their starting running back. He got hurt.
Yep.
I forgot I think his last name was Franklin. It was Jonathan Franklin. He got hurt. That was the reason why Miles Jack was an emergency running back that just ended up working out. Same thing, Denard Robinson didn't play both positions, but in terms of what he had to do, we've seen athletes do this, but in terms of just two-way players, I mean, there's not a lot of two-way players out there. Travis Hunter, he got hurt in that second game of the season against Colorado State. Attacked the ribs. A lot of people called it a dirty play. A lot of people went after the Colorado State kid. And Travis Hunter was never the same player. I mean, he was playing, but he was never the same player, right? And it could have all been avoided, especially when it all could have been avoided if he just played one position. Because you get to the NFL, you're not playing two positions. You get to the NFL, you're playing one. You are you are not playing offense and defense. You got one. You choose offense or defense. Sometimes the coaching staff don't choose for you. And it's nothing you can talk. There's nothing you can say about it. Because once you sign that contract, they're yours. They're yours until they either release you or they trade you away from the team. So it's probably, I mean, like I said, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it. There's a possibility he is a special athlete, but like you said, Ty, I mean, there's repercussions. There's some, there's serious repercussions that can come with it if you're going to give him too much. So who knows, maybe in some sort of special formations or special occasions, you're going to see him out there and get some, and get some carries and, here and there. Who knows, maybe toss a ball around in wildcat formation. But no, you don't want to keep using him. You don't want to use him like Miles Jack, and because even though Miles Jack had one of the craziest college football careers you'll ever see, his NFL career was cut short because he had too much mileage, and that's the reason why he was even a second round pick in the first place. Remember going into his junior season, a lot of people thought he was going to be a top 15 pick. He ended up being a second round pick because why? He got hurt carrying the ball against USC in the rivalry game. That's how he got dipped to a second round pick instead of a first round pick. So you gotta be careful what you do with them, man. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for sure.
Jake?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Definitely a recruiting ploy, that's for sure. And I mean, he's doing it from, I mean, he says in the article, right, that he, to add depth to the running back room. Like, dude, the guy's not gonna see the field running back. Come on, man. You're an idiot if you put him out there and he gets hurt. Like, there goes your job for sure. But I'll tell you, it's what it's doing is just trying to garner further attention, right? Because today it's a matter, like, look at Alabama right now. Okay, look at even Tennessee's making a pretty big push as far as trying to get some attention recruiting with David Sanders Jr. You look at what these schools are doing, and Alabama's not even necessarily doing it on purpose. Granted, DeBoer has that like open door policy, and he's doing all these interviews because what happens to the subconscious mind when you put something in front of it and it's being told and you're being looked at all the time? You can't help but think about it, right? If you close your eyes and say, look, open them, and I say, look for something green, and then you open them, you'll find the first thing that's green. Okay. It's literally this kind of a fun little ploy. So if Ohio State in this situation, right, with Caleb Downs, it's a nice little way of doing the same thing. Like, close your eyes. I'm going to tell you these things, open them. That's what you're going to find. This is how you kind of get your attention back. I mean, look what it just did. Look at the cornerback, Dorian Brew, I think it is, right? Dorian Brew, 5-star cornerback. He's taking a visit now to Ohio State. Okay. You know why? Because they're starting to garner attention. They're doing something different. They're allowing guys to go both ways. Right. So, I mean, Colorado played that real strong with Travis Hunter. Like that's been that was a big tool for them. All right. Like they really did. So if you're an athlete, come here, you can potentially play both ways. Like it's a little recruiting tool. That's what it is. And, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a smart little tool too. Like, and it's funny with the Ohio State thing, if they're able to flip Dorian Brew, you can guarantee that maybe there's a feeling now of Naeem Offord being like, I'm going this way towards Bama. So something to think about there.
Yeah, coach, the DB coach at Ohio State's done a great job, but hopefully Alabama can pull that flip off, right? Hopefully they can. Mm-hmm. Mo's doing a great job at establishing the relationship, but it's an uphill battle. Brinsky, Coach Sean, talk to me about this real quick before we get out of here.
Plain and simple. It's stupid. It's just stupid. You have a lot of weapons. You got two of the best running backs in the country. He has no business being back there. If he gets hurt, you deserve to be fired. End of story.
For me, really quickly, I don't think it's I see it different with Travis Hunter. With the example Coach Jay gave with Jabril and all these other people, that was great. I agree, but what Travis was doing was different. He was actually playing, starting on offense and starting on defense. Like he was playing the entire game both ways, right? Took a shot in the ribs. Travis Hunter's just different. That kid, like I said, he was starting at defensive back and starting at receiver. So I think that's a little different the way they was using him. But really, really quickly, I think it's a ridiculous move. I think it's a recruiting tool. It's one thing to get him the ball in space and let him try to do something. You got plenty of athletes there, man. There's no reason to put this kid on offense and subject him to that. It's kind of like when people say running quarterback should play running back. That's the most ridiculous take in the world. It's a difference in taking a handoff and running when all the defensive backs have their back to you. It's totally different, right? So it's ridiculous. I agree with Brinsky. And if we see it, he deserves whatever he gets. And I mean, for us to coach, and you just don't need to do it, period.
Yeah, I think, Jake, you hit the nail on the head. I think this is a recruiting ploy. Right, I do. And listen, if it is, hats off, because it had Twitter jumping, right? So, like, good bait.
Yep.
Good bait. If that's what Ryan Day's doing, I do, hey, salute, because we're talking about it. You look on Twitter, people take the bait. It's like Matt Moscano, right? He puts it, but the difference is like, Matt just says... Matt just makes up lies, right? Yeah. Like, and then is like, oh, well, people are going to call me out for totally lying. Ha ha. Now I look smart. It's like, no, you don't. You got called out for lying because you're lying, right? Neither here nor there. Gentlemen, we've been live for almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let's go around the table. Let everybody know where they can find all your great content. We're just going to go straight down the line from Jance to Jake to Brinsky to Coach Sean.
Jant716 on Twitter, Jant Sports on YouTube. Definitely be on the lookout for more content coming up. Got a little heated. Talk about Lincoln Riley. All I got to say, man, all you Lincoln Riley defenders out there, man, good luck to you, man. Good luck to all you USC fans out there, man. That continues to defend him. Just good luck. Good luck.
And good luck they shall need. Jake.
Yeah, and you guys can right now find me on Twitter, and it's all capital letters, but Coach_J Merr, JMERR. And then this next weekend, I'll be coming out with my show. I thought I was going to do it this weekend, but due to some family stuff, you know what I mean? Couldn't release what I wanted to, but it's all good. We're going to get on it next weekend. We can be ready to roll. So I hope you all tune in, and of course, you see these fellas on there. So be a good time. I'm excited.
Looking forward to it. Brinsky, you just passed a milestone. Let the people know about it, and let the people know where they can continue helping you get to your next milestone at.
Well, I crossed that milestone because of you, brothers. But I finally crossed over that 500 mark of subscribers. Definitely appreciate these brothers for helping me get over that milestone. Now we're on the road to 600 and above. But y'all can catch me at the Sharpshooters podcast. We about to go live in a minute and talk about the NBA finals, NBA draft, NFL training camp, and all that good stuff. So you can just come over there and watch us live. Appreciate Ty, appreciate Jay, appreciate Jake, appreciate Sean. I appreciate you guys so much, and I just hope that you guys come over here. There go to I said sub here at the bottom. I appreciate y'all. So thank you.
Shout out to all the brothers on the channel. Yeah, facts. Be sure to go check out his channel, man. Great work over there, man. Check out all these guys' channels. They awesome. I learn from them every day. I thank Ty, JMHO Sports Talk on Twitter, and JMHO Sports Talk on YouTube. Just my humble opinion. Tap in. We no holds barred, and thank you to Ty for having all us on here.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for coming on. As always, great time. We will be back Friday morning with another roundtable discussion. And until then, let me introduce you to the sixth member of the panel this evening who hasn't said a word, but you already know he always gets the last say. The spinning wheel of doom. And it rolls.